Welcome with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall obtain unto wise counsels. And I'm going to repeat that. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall obtain unto wise counsel. Most of the times and throughout from generation to generation, we tend to seek out the wise people in our lives because we want to hear what they have to say. But before the wise can speak what they know, they must first learn. And learning comes not from speaking, but from listening. And while there is indeed a time to speak, we never learn from speaking. But we need to learn to listen. For a wise man also listens. That way we can learn and grow. So that we can have wisdom to share with others when it's our time to speak. You know, it's kind of just like when you, there's a lot of people who don't take, instructions very well or quizzes very well, but if you do hands-on, all you got to do is show them one time and they got it. Others learn that way, and others they have to be, let me go through this book and let me go through this whole step-by-step thing and learn that way. We each have a different way of learning, of comprehending such things. You know, you have those geniuses that everybody likes to claim, he was just born smart. No, he was born, but he wasn't born smart because he didn't come out speaking the things that he speaks now. He first had to learn how to talk. It was his actions and his ability and God's gift that he blessed him with the ability to absorb all the wisdom and knowledge by learning, by reading, by doing, by listening. You know, reading is the same thing as speaking. Not only just standing there and hearing people speak, which is how most people back in the further generations would sit and listen to the scholars. Just like when you have back in the Roman Greek era, those big column, whatever they're called, stadiums, the philosophers, whatever they're called, and all the people would stand there and would teach and speak about what they learned. The people would sit and listen. Not everybody knew how to read and knew how to write. So everybody would gather and listen to the people speak. And all these people that was born with a special gift to obtain knowledge that God has blessed them with did a lot of reading, a lot of researching, reading somebody else's words that was speaking to them. Nobody is stopping you from doing all the reading. Nobody's stopping you from acquiring such information. It is the willpower. Most of y'all have the same ability to have the same IQ as some of these so-called intelligent people if you used your time wisely, so to speak, and was in the Word and in those books for yourself. Nobody had stopped you. But because somebody goes and wants to spend their time wisely and was listening to the words of these books and the words of other people speaking and gaining more knowledge, they became more intelligent and had a higher IQ than some of us. Just like some of the people who have acquired more money in their bank account. Why? Because they had took the time to do the money situation a little bit more wisely. They took what they had and either invested it, but they made a way to make that money multiply and be more better from just like the people who took the information made it a way to multiply in themselves. Nobody's stopping you from doing the same thing. And that is why we need to be in these Bible studies. Is why we need to be in church to hear the word of God. Though I know there's a lot of people who is preaching false doctrine. There's a lot of churches that's preaching false doctrine. So we got to be careful and we got to be aware. But you don't have to be dumb. You can be very wise. You can be the one who will be out there preaching the word. Why? Because you can read the word for yourself. God is speaking to you. Through this Bible, he is speaking to you. There's a lot of people who say, I cannot hear the word of God. That's because you're not reading the word of God. Because the word of God is speaking to you. And if you want to know God's wisdom, if you want to have God's wisdom, then being his word is wisdom. This right here is all the intelligent levels that you need. It will give you the wisdom, the knowledge, the discernment to understand his intelligence that he is speaking to you about. Then you can also be the one that's sitting there in a room with somebody speaking lies, and you'll be like, hey, I know better. I have the wisdom and the knowledge of my God, and he does not say that. That is not what the law says. A wise man will be in this word for himself, so that he can obtain the wisdom and the knowledge for himself. Do not rely on other people, because now you are relying on the other people's wisdom instead of God's wisdom. Nobody is smarter than God. So why wouldn't you get your wisdom from the source? Why are you depending on middleman? You're getting middleman wisdom. You're only getting who knows what half those people where their wisdom is coming from. Most of them don't even have the wisdom that they're speaking of. Why? Because they're using this so-called study guide that is a copy handout. You know how like when you get an IKEA furniture and you got to put it together, everybody who gets that stand gets the standard issue book of instructions. Most people who are church leaders and pastors went to the same so-called Christian college or whatever to teach them to be, and is basically learning the same handout, booklet, that somebody had put together from their wisdom. They're not even getting new revelations. They're not getting any. Out of all these years, you would think that most of these Baptist preachers, somebody would came out with all these golden nuggets like people coming out today that you see with these people on social media who's busting out with all these new golden nuggets of wisdom that God is revealing to them because they are in the word from themselves. Why haven't they? And it's not just Baptists. I'm talking about all religions. What is up with these preachers? Why haven't they been getting no new knowledge? This book is so filled with so many mysteries that we haven't even begun to crack the book of mysteries that is inside this word. So how come is that after all these generations, none of these pastors have sought God's wisdom? Because they're relying on a handout, a handbook of somebody else's wisdom that is not God's. Very few will you find when you're sitting in a church and that pastor was like, y'all not going to believe this? I got something new to give to y'all, what God has revealed to me. Ooh, sit down. Y'all gonna enjoy this. Y'all gonna love this. Look what God revealed to me while I was in the Word. How come you just don't hear that? Because they're not in this word from themselves. They're delivering off these standard issues. That's why they preach almost the same books, the same verses, over and over and over again. And they all got the same thing that they're talking about when they go to it and use the same exact samples. Or they're sitting there and they see somebody else who's made a video of it. I was like, oh, that is good. Let me go ahead and copy that and speak that to the people. Again, that is repeating a middleman wisdom. Seek God's wisdom. Let Him speak to you. Let Him reveal things to you. There's a lot to be revealed inside this book. Every time you read it, something new just pops out, and God is revealing to you. There's so many secrets, so many hidden mysteries. And each verse is telling you what it's telling you, and it's also telling you something that has to do with the past, present, and future. It speaks for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Not just right then and there. This book is alive. It is a living book. God is alive. God is the Word, and the Word is with God. And if God is alive, this Word is alive, and it's speaking to you loud and clear. All you have to do is read it. All you have to do is listen to its words. Hear what it is telling you. There's a many of reasons why you get a lot of people that is not a pastor, that hasn't been to those schools, that is sitting here and be like, oh, y'all not going to believe. Let me tell you what God, and you're like, oh man, that is fire. What they speak is fire. That's because God is giving them His wisdom. I'm getting more fire from these people who have been in the Word of God themselves, speaking the Word that they have been in. You can tell they have been. You can tell that God is speaking to them. You can tell that they're getting this wisdom straight from God than I have sitting in a church. And that's just speaking facts. That's just speaking truth. You can almost calculate what these coming out of these preachers' mouths, just like you can when you go turn on a radio station. They play the same songs during the same hours, and it's on repeat. And they do that for that month, and they pick out what's new and what's hot and what's trendy. And you can guarantee once you hear it over here, you're going to hear it over there, and everybody's going to hear it for the same direct month. It's set. It ain't nothing new. It ain't nothing fire. We've all heard it before now, so you can repeat it. I'm hearing the same sermons preached the same way since when I was a child. Come on, that's 20, 30 years. Y'all can't come up with something new. God hasn't revealed anything new to you. That's crazy. That's insane. There's too much intelligence coming out of this book and God's mouth and when He's writing these words for you not to have something new up underneath the sun, so to speak. He should reveal the same fire message that He's revealing to these people. If you have been in this word for yourself, seeking His wisdom instead of relying on a pamphlet that's just handed out and just given. You're losing the people. They've heard it before. It's a repeat. But you, as a child of God, being in here, how great and amazing it is that when you're sitting here reading and God's speaking to you and He shows you something and you're like, oh man, this is good. This is new. Man, I'm going to tell you, there's nothing like it. The feeling that you get is just, there's no word for it. And then you just got to share with everybody. You too can have that feeling. You too can have that fire. You too can have that wisdom. God's waiting on you to receive it. He's waiting for you to come and get it from Him. He loves showing off. And He cannot wait to show you just what He wants to reveal to you. He wants to give you those nuggets. He wants to give you that wisdom. He's waiting for you to seek Him and to find out. Come get your wisdom. Come get your golden nuggets.